Caps for Sale, a tale of a peddler, some monkeys, and their monkey business. Told and illustrated by Esfer Slobodkinia. Once upon a time, there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had his own checkered cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the street, holding himself very straight as to not to upset his caps. And as he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up and down the street, and as he walked, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted to buy a cap that morning, not even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. He said, "I think I'll go for a walk in the country." And so he walked out of town, slowly, as to not to upset his caps. He walked for a very long time until he came to a great big tree. "Ah, this is a nice place for a rest," he thought. And he sat down very slowly, under the tree, and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk as to not to disturb the caps on his head. And then he put his hand up to feel if they were on straight. First his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, and then the red caps at the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep, and he slept for a very long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure that his caps were in the right place. And all he felt was his own checkered cap. He looked to the right of him. No caps. He looked to the left of him. No caps. He looked behind him. No caps. He looked behind the tree. No caps. Then he looked up into the tree. And what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddlers. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tsit, tsit, 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 tsit." This made the peddler angry. He shook both his hands at him and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their fists at him and said, "Tsit, tsit, 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 tsit." Now he was quite angry. He stamped his foot and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tsit, tsit, 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 tsit." By this time, the peddler was very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shook his fists and shouted, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet and shook their fists and said, "Sit, sit, 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 sit." At last he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off their caps, and all of the gray caps, and all of the brown caps, and all of the blue caps, and all of the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps at the very top. And then slowly, he went back into town calling, Caps! Caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. The end.